Hello and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Cynthia Scott, your host for Monmouth in Focus. And joining me today is Freeholder Lillian Burry, who is the liaison to the Monmouth County Park System. And we have a special guest here to join us today is Justin Lotano, who is the president of the Colts Neck Township Lions Club. We're talking about such a great and unique effort. It is the sensory playground den that is currently under construction at Dorbrook Park. What exactly is that?
Well, my understanding is that it is a universally inclusive playground, and but this one has been specifically designed for children with not learning disabilities, but rather visual disabilities, and some are blind as well.
Sure.
And it's really an amazing project, but it all started with Justin Lotano, and he really got the whole thing spearheaded and got it going.
Sure.
And he's probably better able to discuss it. But before we go any further, I do want to focus on the fact that the Monmouth County Park System and the Lions Club did this as a collaborative effort. And the park system was very welcoming and very supportive, and I think Justin will agree with that.
Absolutely.
Good. So I just wanted to put a plug in for the park system.
Absolutely. It probably couldn't come to fruition without both organizations coming together.
Exactly.
Justin, but how did the idea come about?
So the actual idea, it's funny, it was actually my wife's idea. One night we were just talking about, trying to come up with a kind of a bigger scale project for the Colts Neck Lions Club. And she thought of the idea of looking into building a playground for kids that are blind or visually impaired. Lions International, like one of our main focuses is helping people who are either blind or visually impaired, also autistic. So when the thought came up of a playground for kids, I started doing some research and found out there's definitely a need in this area. And the nearest playground that is geared towards this is up in Jersey City at the St. Joseph School for the Blind.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of the first place that I started doing some research, and they were welcoming and gave me a tour of their facility so I can really see the differences between a playground, because the Challenger Place playground is great. It's ADA approved, the American Disability Act approved. All kids can play on it, but there are some big differences between a ADA approved playground and a playground that's geared towards children that are blind or visually impaired. So it started with, like I said, my wife's idea, sitting on the couch one night, and now it's under construction.
Wow.
So it's been a really great project for the whole community.
Really?
And obviously couldn't do it without Lillian and the Parks and Recreation.
So when we talk about this playground, what are the differences that someone who is visually impaired how can they utilize this playground versus a playground that, let's say, they can't utilize?
So actually, it's open to all children.
It's open to all children. So
Yes,
the whole idea, the concept is it's all inclusive. So you're not actually going to be able to tell the difference between the current playground and where this is. It's an addition.
Okay.
The differences between, like, the term sensory obviously applies to the 5 senses. So smell and taste are obviously tough ones to do on a playground, but the other senses. So a lot of it is musical equipment. So it's designed so kids can touch it and hear it. A lot of big contrasting colors for children who are not fully blind but just partially blind, so they can actually see what they're playing with.
There's also vibrations.
Vibrations. There's some things that you bang on. There's xylophones. There's drums. So it's a lot of, the term sensory most commonly is in the autistic community. So the term sensory as a whole is something a lot that you're seeing a lot more of.
Sure.
So it's it's really just designed to have children who have this, that are blind, visually impaired, or autistic, that they feel comfortable on the certain pieces of equipment from a safety and from a, to help them from a learning and, getting socially, involved with the rest of the children.
And there is this interaction with other children as well.
Which is great. So it's everyone's involved in it, which is nice. It's not separating.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly right.
Yep.
And it helps their self-confidence. and belief in themselves. So that's important.
Very important.
Yeah,
I would
very much.
imagine after you visited the school, I guess your next step was, how do we get funding for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first step. The next step was actually getting the county's buy-in that it was something that was needed in the area. And after getting some of the Monmouth County Parks and Recreation people to come with me to St. Joseph's School for the Blind, I think the biggest turning point was actually having them speak with some of the teachers and social workers at the school, and just to get a better understanding of how much this helps these children,
Sure.
and how much of a big part of the population of kids is blind, visually impaired,
Right.
or autistic.
Right.
So that was a real turning point. And then from there, the county parks agreed to give us the space at Dorbrook Park, and then the fun part started, which was having to convince the Lions Club of Colts Neck that we were going to be able to raise such a big number, because up to this point we have been doing a lot. The club's been around for 50 years.
Wow.
So the club's
Yeah.
been doing a lot of smaller projects. So a project of this scale was obviously challenging and kind of out of the norm. So, convincing the club that it was possible to raise.
You're really minimizing what you did, because it's really amazing when you think about it. $145,000.
Wow, that's
And for a
fantastic.
small club to come up with
Yeah.
that kind of money, but the community was behind you, and
No
that's
doubt.
what was so important. And I read that 35,000 came from Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins.
Yes.
And they have a special foundation.
That's great.
For childhood joy, I guess it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And this is amazing, because the Colts Neck Lions Club obviously raised the money, helped raise the funds, but this is for all kids in Monmouth County.
Absolutely.
yes,
So
absolutely.
Dorbrook Park is just an amazing place for
Yeah.
children and for adults too. It has lots to offer, and a great central location
Yeah.
for
Very definitely.
it to be utilized there.
Right off 537. Great.
Yeah, and it was a community effort from a lot of people involved. So we did get some grants from companies like Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
Investors Bank, Rain Colts Neck gave us some money. We do several fundraising events throughout the year. We also got some personal donations. We got some money from the Colts Neck Business Association, from the Colts Neck Reformed Church, from the Women's Club of Colts Neck. So it was really
Right.
neat to see,
Yeah.
because everyone saw it as, this is going to be something all your
Yeah.
children and grandchildren are going to be able to play on. You're going to be able to say you had a part in it. It really was a coming together of it was a collaborative.
And you'll be
effort.
recognizing their donations with plaques or
Yes,
something.
yes. So we're going to have a plaque in the entrance to
That's
the Challenger
wonderful.
Place, and it really was amazing to see it all come together from just like a random idea that we had to actually happening. It was really neat.
I know it's under construction, but do we have a date for the unveiling?
I've been pushing.
Early
Just
spring,
on
warm
this.
weather coming.
We were hoping to have it done in the fall, but
Yes.
because of some of the delays in the
Sure.
the surfacing is back ordered and it's weather dependent. So
Yeah.
That's
we
it.
are definitely going to be doing a big grand opening in the spring of 2020.
This spring.
Absolutely.
Like so many other things.
Yes, busy spring. Okay,
spring.
let's hope we have somewhat of a calm winter, and then we'll have a nice spring for this wonderful grand opening. Thank you so much both
Yeah,
for joining us
well,
today here on Monmouth in
pleasure,
Focus.
really.
My pleasure.
Really
Thanks for
great
having us.
effort for.
It's just so exciting.
It really is for the kids
Yeah.
in Monmouth County and everyone coming together, which is
Yes.
great. So I thank you, and I thank you both for
Absolutely.
joining
My
us here
pleasure.
today.
Thank you.
And that is all the time we have for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. For more information, please visit www.visitmonmouth.com. I'm Cynthia Scott. Have a great day.